Brian Clough, you're on about motivate. Brian Clough, and it's well documented, punched me after a game one night with Crystal Palace in the cup. I know it's laughing, it's funny. Brian Clough is a genius. Did I take it that badly off him? I just went, no. He was upset, he was heated, and he punched me. But I remember thinking, I still think you're a brilliant manager. And I came in the next day and I trained, and I didn't text anyone in the media or ring somebody or go on WhatsApp or Twitter, whatever they're going. I said, somebody punched me. I just went, the manager's upset. You take it, you take it. But players, you take it. So I'm not changing my ways for nobody.
Yeah. And
But I'm learning.
We'll get back to Roy in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And don't forget, you know what to do. If something's bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, the comment section is for you. Please, I read all of the comments and I invite you to express yourself in there. Even if you think the Big D's talking nonsense, all I ask is that you keep it civil. Anyway, in this clip, Roy Keane is going to be talking about management, some of the mistakes he might have made, some of the experiences he's experienced throughout his career, and certain motivational techniques he's endured throughout his playing career, as well as whether or not he would get back into management himself. Anyway, stick around after the clip because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on Roy Keane, the manager.
do you intend on going out on your own now, or would you go back in somewhere with Martin?
No. I think obviously after in fairness, me and Martin discussed it many times when I was with Ireland. The role suited me at international football, and we both agreed, even before Martin went up to Forest, that it wouldn't suit me being assistant at club level. So when I went up to Forest, the plan was, again, my contract would have sorted out that I'd probably just go up there till the summer, just to try it. Yeah. But I knew if I go back in the club, it's got to be the manager. Simple as that. But I had obviously a bit of loyalty towards Martin. I didn't think Martin would go so quickly after I left, but I knew after kind of a month or two that the assistant manager's role at club level didn't really suit me. It was fine with Ireland, there was no problem, because obviously you're not together every day, etc. But the club stuff, no, I definitely would have to go back in and be a manager.
And do you talked about the modern dressing room and all this kind of stuff. Do you feel like you have to hold your tongue when you go back in? Do you feel like you have to adapt the way you'd like to manage, the things you'd like to say to players?
But I'm intrigued by people who talk about my role in the dressing room, particularly people who've never been in the dressing room with me. It's amazing what people think I do in the dressing room.
Yeah.
You know, I usually kill 3 people a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the perception.
No, I'm fairly placid in the dressing room. Trust me. Huh? This image is hard to shake it off, I know. But you ask any of the players who worked with me for a long time, even the lads at Sunderland who were there for a year or two, honestly, quite relaxed. Even my time at Ipswich, people kind of almost write me off because of that. But listen, there was pluses at Ipswich. I think it's a slightly different role with Ireland, but enjoyed that. But this might surprise you though. Have I made mistakes? Yeah, of course I have.
Sure.
And Gary was on about there, whatever industry you're learning, you're trying to obviously become better at it. But I don't think I need to move it so far away from what my traits are, because my traits have took me so far. But do I have to improve in certain aspects of my management skills? Absolutely. And I've made mistakes, but hopefully I'll learn from them. Strange enough, I'll probably make lots of more mistakes. But again, don't think for 1 second when I'm working with players in the dressing room or on the training pitch. Obviously, Gary made. I'm actually quite, believe it or not, relaxed when I'm working with players. Do I put demands on them? Of course I do, but I feel like it's kind of got to the stage where people say to me, you know, I was very demanding. As if I should almost apologise for it, you know, particularly when I'm in the coaching role. When people say, oh, the modern players don't like that. Yeah. But I'm not doing it all the time. If you're doing that every day, if Alex Ferguson didn't do that every day, people talk about the hairdryer, you just try and get the timing right, when to have a go at players, whether at the time people thought I was having a go at John Walters or Harry Hart. Sometimes you're trying to motivate people, and sometimes you're motivating them. Sometimes you get it wrong. Some players enjoy that. They go, yeah, you know, I enjoyed that heated discussion, whatever you might say. But again, obviously you've got to pick and choose. But other players react to it. You go, I think you're, again, got to be John and Harry at the time, or obviously Wardy wasn't in there. Maybe the issue's you, lads. Because I sometimes would step back and go, did I get that drastically wrong with a situation at Sunderland, maybe at Ipswich? I go, maybe I did, but other things, maybe they got it wrong. Maybe they overreacted. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes when managers that I go at me, Brian Clough, these are great managers. Brian Clough, you're on about motivate. Brian Clough, and it's well documented, punched me after a game one night with Crystal Palace in the cup. I know it's laughing, it's funny. Brian Clough was a genius. Did I take it that badly off him? I just went, no. He was upset, he was heated, and he punched me. But I remember thinking, I still think you're a brilliant manager. And I came in the next day and I trained, and I didn't text anyone in the media or ring somebody or go on WhatsApp or Twitter, whatever they're going. I said, somebody punched me. I just went, the manager's upset. You take it, you take it. But players, you take it. So I'm not changing my ways for nobody.
Yeah. And if...
But I'm learning.
WhatsApp. Are you like bored around the house? Are you itching to get back in? Like if a job didn't come, what would the next 10, 20 years be?
I've been very lucky. I'm definitely, when I analyse my career, I'm one of the luckiest guys on the planet. And I never get bored. I'm never at home going, I've always got something to do. Obviously, 5 children keeps you busy. I've got my couple of dogs, my wife. I get a few little bits of work, but I'm never bored.
He's a funny guy, Roy Keane. You can't take that away from him, mate. He's a funny guy. He's certainly not a football manager, though. He hasn't really had a lot of success as a manager. He was really good at first. When he was at Sunderland, he got them promoted, and I think they had a decent first season, but then in the Premier League, that is. But then I think he got sacked after that. I can't quite remember. Point being, he didn't really last long as a manager, and I can understand why, because I get the impression Roy Keane, he expects everyone to do the things in the way that he approaches things when it comes to being a professional footballer, for instance, if that makes sense. What I think Roy Keane fails at is different personalities. I don't necessarily think that he truly grasps the concept of different approaches with different players. Alex Ferguson did, Carlo Ancelotti does, all the big managers probably do. And the thing is with Roy Keane as well, I mean, you can imagine if he was managing like a smaller club, you've got these players that weren't as talented as him, and he's trying to get them to do something that he found easy, but they can't actually do it to his standard. And you could imagine he gets a little bit frustrated by that, because he's wondering, why can't you do it? I could, but they're not Roy Keane. He is. And also, you can imagine if he kicks off, these players that weren't as good as him are probably crushed because their heroes just absolutely annihilated them. Not everyone, but you can imagine enough have reacted that way to the point where it's detrimental to the team. And you can also imagine, hypothetically, which even though it's not going to happen, Roy Keane managing like a top side with world-class players. He's going to come down like a ton of bricks on them. And they're probably going to turn around to him and be like, what are you on about? Behave yourself. You were no better than me, mate. Can you imagine him doing that to, say, Jude Bellingham or something like that? Well, actually, saying that, I reckon Jude Bellingham would probably take it on the chin. He seems like a level-headed kind of guy. But I tell you what, Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford, I very much doubt would take kindly to Roy Keane sort of kicking off at them. Now, I mean, he is funny and whatnot, but a manager he is not. Great player, absolutely top-notch player. And he's actually a very entertaining pundit as well. So there's no way he's going to go full-time back into football, especially in the years, since this particular interview, which was a few years back now. He's gone on to carve out a very nice, lucrative niche, sitting down with Gary Neville and Jill and Ian and Jamie Carragher having a croissant and talking about football and having a nice little rant, telling a few jokes. Can't see him going back into football as a full-time manager at all. And I think he would burn out, and the players would burn out as well. It's just a recipe for disaster, really, long term. I could see him becoming an assistant somewhere, because I think he was an assistant at Aston Villa at one point as well. But even that's a long shot at this point. I think he's dabbled. I think he's sort of satiated that sort of managerial sort of itch that he may have had. And now I think he's just resigned to him making some nice money for Sky. I'm surprised Roy Keane hasn't got his very own YouTube channel, because that would get 1 million subscribers in no time, and it would just be him talking about everything that's on his mind. And he would probably get paid more doing his own YouTube channel than sitting on a panel for Gary Neville's YouTube program, The Overlap. But hey ho, I don't think Gary Neville would want Roy seeing what I've just said there. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think Roy Keane could get back into football and learn from his mistakes and become a good manager? Has he got enough humility? Has he got enough, empathy or understanding for players that may not be quite as good as he was? Because I know Bobby Charlton was a little bit like that, God rest his soul. He couldn't quite understand how players who weren't quite as talented as him couldn't necessarily do the things that he used to be able to do so easily. And he seemed like a really nice, laid-back, gentle gentleman. Whereas Roy Keane was an absolute animal when it came to competition. You just need to ask Alfie Inge Haaland about that one. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think he can learn from that? Or do you think Roy Keane has resigned himself to sitting on a nice panel in a nice warm studio, sipping his tea, eating his croissant and chatting away to Nev, Scholes, Rooney, Jill and Jamie? Thoughts in the comments, guys. As usual, you know what to do, and I'll see you in the next one.